Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. Back at you with a new video. Yep, I'm packing them in today. So, Jaron Ennis has become the unified welterweight champion of the world. For those of you who don't know about BWTM Sports, Boots was a regular on BWTM Sports Gaming live. We used to do live shows, myself and Boots. So I'm really proud to see he has accomplished what he's done as a welterweight champion and potentially could go on to become undisputed. I've been quite critical of Boots, to be honest with you, despite the fact he beat the crap out of Stanionis. Stanionis for me was too small and limited compared to Boots Ennis, to be honest. Their weights categories for a reason. I know they're in the same weight category, but Boots on the night looked like a middleweight or super middleweight versus a welterweight. That's not his problem. That's what it is. But this is probably critical of me, and I'm aware of it. I don't tune into Boots fights. I don't. Not that I don't think he's a good fighter. Not that I don't think he's got potential to be great. None of those reasons. Really, because a lot of the background noise about Boots. I think he's a good fighter. I think he's a decent fighter, but he's got flaws, huge flaws, and those flaws keep coming back over and over again. And I'm thinking it's only a matter of time before those flaws get exposed. And yet again, even against Stanionis, again, Boots, when you punch with him, he's getting caught with big shots over the top, and he has not addressed those issues. And as long as those issues remain, I'm always expecting to wake up in the morning and hear Boots has been knocked out. Why? Because it's like Russian roulette with me. You're getting away with it, you're getting away with it, you're getting away with it. But it's like it's getting closer and closer and closer till you meet a guy that can actually do something about it. When you got a guy who can actually punch like hard, like a real killer puncher, you got a problem. And who's prepared to stand right where Stanionis was standing and let them shots go, you got a problem. Because there was two or three times in that fight where, yes, Boots may be the bigger, the stronger, the more talented fighter. There were holes, huge holes in his defense, which, like, I'm watching back in replay and going, oh my God, yet again, yet again, yet again. See, and you've boxers boxing patterns. And I don't know how many times I've got to say this over and over again. They give you a blueprint as to how to beat them. And we know the blueprint to beat Boots is to be in the pocket or punch when he's punching. Punch when he's punching because he's going to leave himself exposed with shots. So I don't know. If he goes into beyond, it's exciting. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know how long that can continue. I don't see Boots as a superstar welterweight. Sorry, I don't. I think he's good. I think he's got potential to be, but if he doesn't correct those mistakes against the real guys that you and I know that are coming to fight, come to do the business. People say, "Oh, what would you do against Terence Crawford?" Guys that he can't make those mistakes against him. Will get punished, and you just look at that situation. One, he got hit with a big right hand, yeah, hands down by his side, getting caught for a right hand over the top. When you fight against them sort of guys who can really crack, one mistake like that is the beginning of the end of you. Because once you get hit, your legs go and then they jump on top of you and you finish. How many times have we seen it in fights where a top fighter is doing well, gets cracked with a good shot, and before you know it, they've lost the belt? And it's those sort of things I see when I see Boots Ennis. Those are the things that concern me. I'm not one of these dudes that watch boxing and in fight after fight after fight, dudes making the same mistakes over and over and over again. It's not being fixed. And then he comes up against the guy who's watched him make mistakes over and over again and then that guy gets chinned. No, I'm not one of them guys that are going to say, it's just a tough fight. No, but it's coming back over and over again, and he was doing it against lower level opposition as well. So if Virgil Ortiz is to hit you on the chin, what happens? Are you gonna walk for those shots the same way. You mean guys who can really punch or can time you with a big punch, who've, when you talk about Bud Crawford at welterweight, no, you're not beating no Bud Crawford, man. Come behave yourself. You're not. I rate Boots. Don't get me wrong in what I'm saying. Do not misunderstand me. But I just see a fighter there that's heavily flawed, that's getting away with nonsense at the moment. He's getting away with it. Oh, yeah, he's highly skilled. Yeah, but it's the level of opposition he's fighting at the moment. That next step up, that next level, with a guy who has come to fight, who can fight in the pocket and can punch, that dude there is a real problem for Boots. And that is what I'm talking about there. Because you can only go so long fighting a certain way and on a certain level, and you can get away with it. But when you go to the higher echelons, that's where's the problem. Like, I'll give you an example. Amir Khan, yeah? Amir Khan, early in his career, we found out that he was getting hit, he was getting hurt, he was getting dropped. Like guy against Michael Gomez and stuff like that. He was getting hit, he was getting hurt. But we also knew he had blistering hand speed, and when he put them shots together, he looked awesome. Right? But we knew that if you punch with Khan, there's a problem because the chin is there and his chin's up in the air. So guess what? He goes and fights a Breeze Prescott, gets chinned around. He comes back, gets rehabilitated. Then he comes and fights against Danny Garcia. And what happens? He's inside the pocket with Danny Garcia. He's throwing too many punches inside the pocket. And what happens? Boom, the left hook gets whipped over the top. That's the end of Amir Khan as a unified champion. And at the time was recognized, at the time, I think it was the number one was it welterweight? Like welterweight in the world? Khan? I mean, he'd beaten Judah. Had some good wins on his record. And I think he had Ring Magazine. Then he fought Lamont Peterson. And we all know what happened in that fight. Again, he moves up. I know he fought against Canelo. Again, you're moving around for the same. You watch. He fought Canelo for the same punch combination. Then got countered and knocked out. One shot. I know that it's a heavier weight division. I get all that, but still, those mistakes, just like Boots was doing in that fight against Stanionis, he threw the same combination twice. I'm thinking, you're getting away with that against a dude that can't capitalize. And Stanionis is not the blueprint, or he's not the blue mark for the welterweight division. He's not the guy. He's not the guy. He's not the man. Do you understand? And he's getting tagged like that. So I've said it before. I've said it again. Until Boots corrects those mistakes and he keeps thinking that it's okay to get away with those things, it's okay until it's not okay. And then we'll have this conversation again. If he goes 50-0 like that, I'll be very surprised. The next level is where I think he's going to find himself in some big trouble. And that's the problem we have with this generation of fighters, that we put too much, we emphasize too much on, because you want to promote a fighter, he's the best in the division, he beat this person, he beat far better, fundamentally sound fighters that are far better than him. But because promoters need to promote, and there's a war on between boxing promoters to who's got the best fighter in the world, and broadcasting deals and all this stuff, the guys who are just decent and good are being elevated to greatness, and they don't deserve it. Like, what makes Boots Ennis a superstar boxer? Like, he's American, and he's got a bit of style about him. Does that make him a superstar? Who's he beaten to determine him being a superstar? He looks the business. I mean, the punches he threw to knock Stanionis down, so 4 left hooks, that was good. But that's Stanionis. Stanionis is not going to go down in the Hall of Fame. Do you understand? Stanionis is not going to go down in the Hall of Fame as a great fighter. He may go down as a good fighter, but he's not going to go down as a great fighter. Nobody's going to go back and say, that Stanionis was a killer in the division. Nobody's going to say that. Maybe Eddie Hearn will tell you that the Stanionis was a killer in the division. Oh, come on. What would Crawford do with Stanionis? What would Spence do, Stanionis? Do you know what I'm saying? It's not. He's done well. He's looked good against him, but it's that next level. Let's see if he goes out there and next level and he can do that to Virgil Ortiz, who again Virgil Ortiz I think is a good fighter, but he doesn't. Ortiz, another guy that doesn't stand out for me. Do you know what I mean? I look at guys like Spence was for me will stand out. Crawford stand out. Do you know what I mean? But then that's just me. I like Boots. Boots can be there, but he has to do something for me, and he hasn't done it yet. That doesn't mean he can't. But at the moment, in terms of superstar status and the best welterweight out there and all stuff, let's leave that on hold. He's unified champion, and you can only fight who's put in front of you at the moment. And for that, that's great. But the way Riyadh season's going, the way Turkey Al Sheikh's moving, I don't think there's many more gimme fights out there for Boots. Eventually, he's going to have to fight one of these guys that are going to punch him back very hard and can punch back and can punch in between. And that's where we're going to see, I think, the best of Boots, all the worst of him. This might not be what people want to hear in commentary, and that's fine. I get it. I'm not here to be popular. I'm here to speak the truth. And there's a difference. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm out of here. Congratulations, Boots, by the way. Congratulations. And I'm not saying you're not a good fighter. I'm not saying you're not a great fighter, or you couldn't go on to be a great fighter, but you've got to fix those technical defensive flaws to be great. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a world of trouble when you move up to a guy who can crack you and can fight inside, fight in the pocket. This has been BWTM Sports. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, smash the like button, support your boy, and share the videos. And I'll be back with you another one soon. Take care.